So I kind of want to start things off just by posing a question for you guys. How many of you, whether you're growing up or maybe even now or sometime in the past, have ever been part of a trio? Usually the way that trios form, especially with like younger girls, is there's one girl, she becomes really good friends with another girl, and then they meet another girl and, you know, they like that girl too, and so they kind of invite her in to the group, right? That's kind of how it starts. So threes start off unbalanced. You can shift it and change it any way you want, but it's always going to be different, right? There's going to be two girls that start off as best friends, and then the other girl kind of has to find her dynamic. Or maybe there's three people that don't fucking trust each other. But look, no matter how you split it, threes are always going to be off balance. That's exactly how these three girls that I'm going to tell you about all came together. Her name was Skyler Niece. Like, we're going to kind of like take it back a little bit. I want to say where this story starts. She's probably about 13 or 14 years old. And she lives in West Virginia. She's really kind of a good girl. She's got a lot of good girl friends. Well, eventually, Skyler meets Sheila Eddy. And Sheila Eddy is she's kind of a bad girl, okay? This is kind of how Skyler is able to break out of her like good girl image. She's still getting, you know, good grades. She's still making her parents happy. She's still friends with, you know, the other people, her other friends. But when she becomes friends with Sheila, she kind of gets to have a little bit of a wild side, because Sheila is somebody who, and we'll talk about her a little bit more, but I'm going to be honest, Sheila is a jealous bitch that comes from a really sad home and tried to cover it up by bullying people. But Skyler doesn't know this yet. Unfortunately, she'll find that out later. Well, they start off being friends, and Sheila's just kind of like the bad girl that'll like, you know, oh, we're gonna smoke weed, we're gonna drink, I can get us alcohol, we can hang out, and then, oh, by the way, I've got this other friend, Rachel Schoaf, right? Look at these girls. I personally feel bullied by this picture. Like 100%. I feel completely bullied by these two girls right now, just looking at them. So they become friends. They become a little trio, right? They're the three musketeers. They're inseparable. You know, Rachel's got a boyfriend. Sheila's got a boyfriend, you know, and they're sexually active. Like, Skyler kind of gets to be cool by hanging out with them. And Skyler's parents are a little bit more strict. She's not able to do the same things that Rachel Schoaf and Sheila Eddy are able to do. And on top of this, I think that Sheila started to get a little bit jealous of Skyler for numerous reasons. She's a really nice girl. She comes from a nice home. And I want to talk about this. There are an incredible number of people that are in here in this chat right now, or people that watch my YouTube videos, that are kind, sensitive, like men or women, kind, sensitive people that really are just here to kind of keep their head down and do the work or do something. And for some reason, somebody realizes that you're a nice person and they just decide to shit on you for no reason. And because you, as a nice person, tend to project your morals onto others, you're like, why is this person being mean to me? I must have done something wrong. That's exactly the dynamic that Sheila Eddy and Skyler Niece had. Skyler was just a nice girl and had a nice family, and Sheila was not a nice girl and she did not have a nice family. I'm gonna get right into showing you guys some tweets really quick, because I just really want to drive this home before we get into the story of like what happened. Sheila Eddy, she had a friend named Shania or something like that, right? So I went back way into Twitter. I know some of you guys have probably seen some of the tweets from the Skyler Niece case. I grew up on MySpace. I'm not fucking playing. I went into advanced Twitter search and I looked up Sheila's account and I pulled up every single tweet that she ever sent to all of her friends, and I went through all these motherfuckers. Why? Because I'm nosy and I'm pissed and I was in a trio too, and fuck these girls. So when I went and looked this up, I saw Sheila Eddy tweeting this girl named Shania. Okay, we'll say it's Shania. This is how Sheila talks to people that she likes. Miss you, love you, I'm so excited, smiley face. Heart, haha, worth it. I know, I miss you. Oh, like, don't text me. I miss you. This is what Sheila is capable of doing. Here are the tweets that she sent Skyler. I just choked on my vitamin. This is what I get for trying to be healthy. She's the one that tried to partake in drugs. Let's just say, do you guys see? G, thank you. Pussy my ass. Yeah, right, ho. Probably. Do you guys see the immense difference in how she talks to this friend versus how she talks to Skyler? I freaking hate you so much. LOL, subtweets on subtweets on subtweets. And I really want to encourage you guys, especially like some of my younger viewers that are in group chats and shit like that. If you feel like somebody doesn't like you and they're talking to one person like this, oh, without me, come on, you know that's what, hey, text me back. That'd be pretty cool. But then they're talking to you like this. Fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch, okay? Cut her off. This is kind of how their relationship was. Skyler was picking up that Sheila didn't really like her, and rightfully so, you know, but she's been friends with her for a couple years, and so, like, we can't just cut it off, you know? It's just all right. So Skyler starts to post some of these tweets where she's kind of just putting her emotions out there, right? She says, "You're a two-faced bitch, and obviously fucking stupid if you thought that I wouldn't find out." Ooh. And then Skyler also says, this is the victim. She says, "Well, now I'm too annoyed to sleep. Love, a liar. You're just as bad as the bitches you complain about." Look, she out here subtweeting a storm. But, I mean, how is Skyler supposed to end this friendship, end this relationship? There's so much between it because there's one big thing that I haven't told you guys yet. Remember I told you about Rachel Schoaf and Sheila Eddy, the two girls that I said looked like bullies? One night, Skyler, maybe she's hanging out with them. Maybe, I don't know if she wasn't supposed to be there. Or maybe they were all hanging out as the three of them and Skyler chose not to participate. But there was a night where Skyler witnessed 16, like they were like super young. They were sleeping together, the two girls. And this is in 2012. Like in their town in West Virginia, you can't be a lesbian. And also you're sleeping with other people in the school. This is about to be a whole scandal. Well, Skyler knew about this and Rachel and Sheila didn't want anyone to find out. So they turn on Skyler in a big way. It feels almost like next level because they have this secret that they need to keep. And this secret is, to them, it's dire. They don't want their parents to know about this sexual relationship they have. They don't want other classmates to know. This is very big. And maybe for Skyler, in her head, she was like, well, I'm not really going to tell anybody because like a lot of people said that they had no idea. Skyler probably was like, well, I'm not really going to tell anyone. I'm just going to get over this. But Rachel and Sheila are sitting over here like, she fucking knows. She's going to do something. She's going to do anything. She's going to do something. So what they start doing is they start trying to smear Skyler's reputation. Why are they doing that? Because they want to try to discredit her to as many people as possible, right? They start saying that she's just this annoying little like younger friend that follows her around. She's just kind of dumb. Like, oh, you know, we're so tired of Skyler. She's so annoying. And that's what they're telling all of their friends. When things like this happen, and I feel like they've happened to a lot of us before, right? Like somebody decides that they don't like you anymore, they discard you, and then they can't be the person that was at fault. So they start talking a bunch of shit about you. And usually what happens in those situations is that person talks shit about you, and then they move on. But that is not exactly what happens in this case. Because Sheila and Rachel Schoaf decided that they needed to kill her. And they start devising this plan between the two of them to keep their secret. And this plan is devised over a couple of months. What I think probably kind of happened, because these are 16-year-old girls. Now, I just want to get like a survey says here, and I'm sure that there's going to be a whole lot, but let's just all get into the same mindset. One in the chat, if you in high school never devised killing anyone, nonetheless your best friend. I already know that the chat is absolutely about to be lit up in ones, but I just want to really demonstrate how abnormal it is to decide to kill someone because you don't like them anymore. This doesn't make any fucking sense to me. So I was trying to rationalize how this could have happened in my head. What I think happened was Rachel Shove and Sheila Eddy have this really, really big secret, right? That they've, they've had sex before. Big secret in their head. But in their heads, this is life or death. Remember, we're in kind of southern, western Virginia. And I think that they started talking about this. And then one of them probably brought it up, probably Sheila. We should fucking kill her. Oh, we should absolutely, that's what we should do. And then Rachel Shove, probably because this is her best friend now. She's in the trio, right? And they're still in the trio dynamic. So they've got to push this person out. And then Rachel gets to graduate into being this best friend. So she's going to say, yeah, we should kill her. And then Sheila Eddy's going to be like, yeah, we're going to kill her. And then she's going to say, yeah, we're going to kill her. And now it has been written, it has been said, neither of them have said this is a crazy fucking idea, and they're going to start to build off of each other's idea. That's the only way. And it's like you want to appease the other person, so you keep going along with their crazy ass idea. And they really built this up over a couple of months. The quality on this video is pretty bad, but I want to show you guys anyways. They were planning this for months. So much so that at one point they actually recorded a video, this is them, where they start quizzing Skyler on how would she want to die. Do you want to be stabbed? You want to be suffocated? Would you rather be strangled? And they just kind of ask her point blank, like it's some kind of MySpace survey. Watch this.
Would you guys rather suffocate or get shot?
Get shot.
Shot.
That's Skyler, like, responding. That is Skyler responding to that question. And this is her sadistically looking up to see what's your answer.
Shot.
Get shot.
Shot.
Wait, depends on where.
Would you rather in the head?
Shot. There would be no suffering at all.
Eaten by ants or suffocated?
Suffocated.
Drowning or suffocating?
Suffocating. It's almost the same thing.
I know, but it's not.
They just very quickly basically asked her how she wanted to die. At one point, like later in the investigation, some of Sheila's friends even came out and they said that the word die and Skyler would come out of Sheila's mouth very regularly. But she would say things like, I wouldn't mind if she died, or, oh, maybe we can just get rid of her. Maybe we can just kill her. People reported this afterwards. On July 5th, on the night of July 5th, Skyler Neese went missing. And it wasn't until the 6th, ooh, man, this fucking case. It wasn't until the 6th, the morning of the 6th, that her parents realized she was missing. And I just want to remind you guys, this girl, this innocent child was missing. Immediately, it's all hands on deck. But before she went missing, I just want to show you guys some of the tweets that she posted beforehand. Sick of fucking being at home. Thanks, friends. Love hanging out with you all too. It really doesn't take much to piss me off. You doing shit like this is why I will never completely trust you. Here is Skyler fighting for her reality. She knows that these girls don't like her. She knows that these girls are treating her poorly. Well, on this night, July 5th, when she tweeted, you doing shit like this is why I will never completely trust you, Sheila Eddy and Rachel Shove invited Skyler to go out that night. They weren't really on the best of terms, but Skyler was so nice. And she was, when I say naive, I mean projecting her own morals onto these girls. She's looking at these girls saying, these were my friends. These are normal people. These are not killers. These are my classmates. These are my people. So despite the tumultuous relationship that they had, the incredibly kind Skyler went with them in that car. And on this night, they drove out and they drove out to a deserted kind of area where they always used to smoke weed. So when they were driving to this location kind of out in a secret area, this was not a red flag at all for Skyler. This was probably almost nostalgic of the good times before, you know, they were getting into all these fights and before everything had happened and before she knew the secret. They were going back to their old spot. I can almost bet that Skyler felt safe in that car, and when they arrived at that deserted kind of forest area, that like she probably felt just as safe. They walk out, and Rachel and Sheila, they kind of stop for a minute, and like I can only imagine like Skyler's last couple of moments, because she was so good at picking up that something was wrong. She had to have known that something was wrong, like when Sheila and when Rachel started kind of whispering to each other and whatever. And they told her, oh, we forgot a lighter. And so Skyler says, oh, I got one in the car. I'm going to go get it. And she goes back to the car to go get the lighter. And Rachel and Sheila, in unison, they say, 1, 2, 3. And they brandish knives that they had brought to stab Skyler, and they begin to stab her to death. And they stabbed her repeatedly until she wasn't moving anymore. I don't even think that they stabbed her to death. I think that she bled out. They tried to bury her in a shallow grave. They had actually brought the tools to bury her, but they couldn't get through the ground. And so, and this is why I say I think Skyler was still alive. They just put her near the creek under some dirt and some rocks and a couple of sticks. And then they left her body there. They left her to die, and they left her to bleed out. The girls go home. I want to show you guys a tweet that Sheila Eddy posted a year after the murders. She wrote, "We really did go on 3. You're probably wondering, well, how the fuck did Sheila Eddy tweet that a year after murdering Skyler? Well, let me tell you. After the murder of Skyler Neese, nobody knew it was a murder because we're back on July 6th, the morning where they realized the child is missing. So the parents obviously put out this all points bulletin, and they are looking for her. They pull out this camera footage, and they see this car that comes to pick up Skyler at 11:30 at night. And they're looking at the car, and they say, this is an SUV. Guess what? It wasn't an SUV. It was Sheila Eddy's car. And they'd already spoken to her that day, and she said, oh, well, I picked up Skyler around 10 o'clock, and we hung out, and then she asked me to drop her off down the street so that her parents wouldn't see her sneaking back in, and that's what I did, and that was the last time I saw her. And then afterwards, the police station bought that story, and then they said that it was an SUV they were looking for, when the bitch was right there the whole time. She said she picked up Skyler at 10 o'clock, but the CCTV footage showed very clearly that she had picked her up closer to sometime after 11:30. So that was Sheila Eddy's first lie. Her next act of deceit would be, over the next couple of months, infiltrating, and that's the word that I will use, the home of the Neese family. After she murdered Skyler Neese, she was up in their house the next day crying, wondering where her friend was. Sheila Eddy, March 13th, 2013. Rest easy, Skyler. You'll always be my best friend. I miss you more than you could ever know. Can you guys fucking believe that she has the audacity to kill this child and then play victim later? Oh, I lost my best friend. And then, oh, can you imagine how sadistic it was sitting in the Neese house? Oh my God, dude. And then afterwards, when they eventually found Skyler Neese's body, like I said, under twigs and rocks lazily placed next to a creek, and it was confirmed that the child was dead, Sheila Eddy was in the home of the Neese family, crying alongside her mother acting like she had no idea what happened. I absolutely cannot fucking believe that. So, what ends up happening is, don't forget, they're fucking kids. Around January of the following year, Rachel Schoaf, the redhead, starts to experience some mental health issues. And during her stay in January, she finally decides that she wants to talk about what happened. Rachel Schoaf ends up having a complete mental breakdown in a psychiatric ward, and she finally just blurts it out and she says, "We stabbed her." And they're like, "What?" So the police go all in and they start asking her some questions. And they ask Rachel if she will wear a wire and see if she can get Sheila Eddy to say anything. Rachel Schoaf agrees. They do the whole thing, but Sheila Eddy doesn't admit to anything. It wasn't until they were actually able to get the two of them in an interrogation room and question them after a year after the murders. A year later, where they were actually able to get their stories to conflate and to figure out that they were for sure the two that committed this murder. Can you guys imagine? Can you imagine how Skyler Niece's mother felt when she found out that Sheila Eddy fucking did it? The rage I would feel. The rage. The everything, the feeling like I betrayed my daughter, feeling like I was naive, feeling like how did I not know, like had just everything. This is Rachel's Twitter, okay? Her literal like main photo is them. Like this is the last thing she retweeted, all three of them. Rachel retweeted somebody saying, "Aren't you in prison? You suck bad." She retweeted this. Got a letter from the juvenile center. I can't be the only one looking up Sheila Eddy and Rachel Schoaf. Like, Rachel retweeted this stuff. Sheila Eddy and Rachel Schoaf are crazy bitches. She retweeted this. Huffington Post crime. Teenage girls plot to murder classmates, shock towns. She retweeted this. I know, it's probably because she's in juvenile, dude. Saf said, "I thought you couldn't have a phone in jail." Well, look, in one of my early videos, I also thought that you couldn't have heroin in jail, but people in my YouTube comments very quickly educated me on that. Apparently, you can get anything. I thought people were just doing jankum, but I guess you could just get anything. There's a bunch of jail letters from Sheila Eddy. There's also their full sentencing as well. So if you guys kind of want like a part 2, like we did for Grant Amato, we could do that, but there's just so much extra stuff to go through. I feel like sometimes it's better to like tell the story and then just get all the media stuff like in a second one if you guys are interested. Another thing that I wanted to talk about that was incredibly obvious to me from this case is, have you guys ever heard me talk about or heard anyone talk about intimacy bonding through a common enemy? There are some people that only know how to connect through negativity. Let's say that you had a single parent, a single mom, and she was very negative and very anxious, and all she would do was bitch about her day. And those were the only times that your mother ever spoke to you one-on-one. You could become someone who learns to bond through negativity and get intimacy through it, like negativity. And remember I told you guys before that Sheila Eddy wasn't very close to her parents, apparently had a very negative relationship with them. Well, Sheila Eddy had a tendency to bond through negativity. She was telling other classmates how much she hated Skyler. She would talk to Skyler about other girls she hated. That's evident in the tweet when she says, "You're just as bad as the girls that you talk shit about." Sheila Eddy was somebody that bonded through negativity. So with Rachel Schoaf, she bonded through a common enemy, and that enemy was Skyler. It felt like real intimacy, but bonding over a common enemy, bonding over someone you hate is not real. And that's incredibly evident in how quickly Rachel Schoaf turned over Sheila Eddy after a few months of being faced with her own feelings. Intimacy bonding through a common enemy is not real, and be incredibly cautious of people that do this. However, you can talk to them and say, "I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that person," and show them how to bond truly, deeply, and like intimately, not through hating other people. And I believe that that was almost the entire basis of Rachel Schoaf and Sheila Eddy's relationship, which ultimately led to them killing who they believed to be was their common enemy together.